We need to reinvent democracy for this new era in which humans are now hackable animals. You know, the whole idea that humans have, you know, they have this soul or spirit and they have free will and nobody knows what's happening inside me. So whatever I choose, whether in the election or whether in the supermarket, this is my free will, that's over.
How far will AI go and what's at the end of it? With the rise of technology, especially the advancements in AI, it's got everybody asking, where does it all lead? And when we finally get there to a true AI, what does that life look like for us? We already know the job market will take a hit because it already has. And AI robots in our everyday lives and military, it's no longer a work of science fiction, but it's our reality. But does the good outweigh the bad when it comes to AI? It's kind of hard to see the good when you've had founders of AI companies come out and give warnings, even though they're involved in creating these AI technologies, like Sam Altman, the creator of ChatGPT.
My worst fears are that we, the field, the technology, the industry, cause significant harm to the world.
Or Elon Musk.
There's a strong probability that it will make life much better and that we'll have an age of abundance. And there's some chance that it goes wrong and destroys humanity. Hopefully that chance is small, but it's not zero.
And even philosophers are big thinkers of our time, like Mr. Noah Harari.
AI can create new ideas, can even write a new Bible.
If laws are made of words, then AI will take over the legal system. If books are just combinations of words, then AI will take over books. If religion is built from words, then AI will take over religion.
With all these conversations going on about AI, there's always one question that seems to pop up. Are we creating a new God? But if you're a follower of Christ, you know exactly what this is. And recently, John Lennox was on the Diary of a CEO podcast, and this topic came up. So we're going to get into his response and see exactly what he had to say about it.
Interestingly, you wrote this book and the word AI is on it. It says God, AI, and the end of history. Why are you so concerned, dare I say, about artificial intelligence as a leading pioneer in maths and sort of philosophical thinking?
Well, because I'm interested in the bigger picture. Anything that raises questions about the nature of human identity. And I was first struck by the drive for artificial general intelligence. It's really become it looks as if it's the prime motivation of people like Sam Altman and so on. It is really hitting the headlines. But within that, there's the notion of transhumanism.
What does that mean?
The idea is that we go beyond the human. One of our most famous astronomers, Royal, he put it this way. He says, in the distant future, it won't be organic brains, it'll be machine brains. And he seriously believes, as do a number of scientists who are not science fiction authors, that there will be some kind of merger between humanity and machines to have a transhuman, something that's beyond the human. And
I mean, that's crazy to think about, right? You know, as a human being merging with these machines or merging with some type of AI software. And I mean, I hear a lot of people say you don't want to be the first one and you definitely don't want to be the last one. And I get why people say that, right? You don't want to be the first one with these chips in your brain like Neuralink or, or merging with some type of robotics. But at the same time, as a human being, how would you keep up with everyone else if you're just a human being and everyone else is merged with this AI, right? Everyone has this super intelligence and you're just an average human being. How would you keep up with society, right? I mean, it's crazy times that we're living in, the fact that we're even talking about this.
Something that is, they hope, super intelligent, got all the human properties, and much more. Now, one of the people who's spreading that kind of transhumanist vision is the Israeli historian Yuval Noah Harari. And he's written a book called Homo Deus, the man God. And that really made me prick up my ears, because I know enough about this book here, the Bible, to realize that the drive for humans towards self-deification is,
Self-deification.
yes, making themselves gods. And you see it all through history. The ancient Babylonian emperors were regarded as gods. The Roman emperors started calling themselves gods and all the rest of it. And what Harari says is the 21st century has two big purposes. Number one, to solve the problem of physical death as a technical problem.
To solve death.
Yes, solve death. Physical death is, in his view, a technical problem, and we'll solve it. The second agenda item, and he calls them agenda items for the 21st century, is to increase human happiness by bioengineering, cyborg engineering, mechanical implants, all this kind of thing, and turning humans, quote, into gods with a small g. In other words, this is the drive for a super intelligent human. We've only got started. And his point is, and from his atheist perspective, one can understand it immediately, evolution, unguided natural processes have brought us to this point. Now we're going to take it into our hands, and we're going to engineer humanity into the future very rapidly to approach this superhuman thing. Now,
How many times has this happened throughout the Bible where people want to be godlike, right? Out of arrogance, out of pride, people want to be, they want to feel like God. They want to think they're God, right? I mean, if you look back in Genesis, when they built the Tower of Babel, you know, God told them to spread out and populate the earth, and they wanted to stay together and build this monumental building to try to reach the heavens, to say, you know, look at us, look what we're able to do. Look what we're able to do without God, right? And in doing that, they disobeyed God, right? Because, and that, if you think about that tower, that was peak technology at the time, just like AI is now to us. That was their peak technology at the time. People must have looked at this tower and said, man, look what us as men can do. We're like gods, is what they thought. You know, and we know that's not true. And it happened over and over with the kings and just like he said, emperors who get so much power and they think, I am a god, you know? And yeah, it's crazy. You know, we think about AI right now. AI is such a new thing for us that we don't really fully understand it, especially general artificial intelligence, because we're not there yet. So we don't know what it's going to be like. But we have so much arrogance. I say we, I mean them, because not me, of course. I don't feel this way, but they feel like we're creating this artificial intelligence that's going to be smarter than any human alive on this planet. Man, it's almost godlike. We're like gods, right? And this technology, though to us, it's amazing and beyond anything humans have ever done, to a true and holy God, to the real God, the Most High, it's nothing, right? It's nothing. It's laughable compared to what God really is, right?
hear that and I see that, but I see that as huge implications for one of the fundamental teachings that's behind, I would argue, Western civilization. And that is the notion that humans, like us, are made in the image of God as rational, moral beings. Now, I got into this because some Christian leaders wanted to have a conference on AI, and they wanted it introduced from someone who knew something about the teaching of the image of God in Genesis, and who had a scientific background and who could perhaps begin to lead them in to what was going on in the AI field around. And once I got into it, I realized this is a seriously important thing because we haven't got to artificial general intelligence yet. That's still a pipe dream, but it's improving all the time. But we've got far enough. That is to what's called narrow AGI, which most of the stuff that works is. And that is posing a threat to human beings at all kinds of levels.
I think he makes a good point, right? We already see the implications of AI with, jobs being lost, and we know more is coming down the line as AI progresses. But the real point that he's making, which is interesting, is, we have all these issues, right? We see people saying AI could be God and rewrite the Bible and have its own religion, and people will worship this AI as a God, right? And there's plenty of videos out there that you can hear people saying this, and we don't even have true AI yet, right? We just have narrow AI. That's what he's talking about. And maybe a lot of people don't fully get that. Maybe a lot of people think that AI is already here, and it's not, right? We have a baby version of it. We don't have a true AI. So if you can only imagine when we reach that point where we have true AI, if we're amazed by the things that AI is doing now, can you imagine what people will think when we reach that point, right? And it's what they call the singularity, because we don't know what's on the other side of that. We don't know the consequences of that yet. So I'm going to skip ahead a little bit.
I really, this question of what it means to be human in a world of AI,
Yes.
I think has been really front of mind for a lot of people. And like, where do we live or exist or find our purpose in a world where theoretically these super intelligent systems will reach AGI, which means they're more intelligent theoretically than any human on Earth. But at the same time, you've got these other advancements in technology like humanoid robots.
Mhm.
Where these humanoid robots, there was a live stream I've talked about a few times, and I'll just throw it up on the screen really quickly, that shows last week a humanoid robot working on a production line for 8 days straight. And they show it up against a human being, and it beats the human being on the production line because it doesn't need to sleep. It just needs to be charged for
I
a couple
know.
of hours to full power. And so you combine these two forces, super intelligence and the disruption. You can think of it like one is disrupting this thing here, the brain, and the intelligence within the brain. And then the other technology that's emerged at the same time is disrupting my muscles and
Yes.
my mechanics. And the two come together to make, voila.
Absolutely. So you face joblessness at all kinds of levels. And people are only beginning to realize the implications of that. And not just low-level repetitive jobs, it's high-level jobs like lawyers. And there's a deep-seated ethical problem running through all of this. And it's a very simple one. It's that
He's going to make a really good point right here. I'm sorry I'm pausing. I have to pause it. If not, I'll get the copyright strike. But he makes such a good point right here.
technology advances much faster than the ethics that's needed to underpin it. And the difficulty is the people that have all the power will say, well, we need some ethical control of all of this, but we need to get on with the research to make it safe for you. So let us get on with it. And you can be a bit skeptical about the motivation there. It's a colossal power grab. And I do feel that the Christian faith has a great deal to say to this arms race, if you like. The power that is being forced in to having a technology that becomes the ultimate source of truth. Now, those two concepts, power and truth, clashed centuries ago in a very famous trial, and it's the trial of Jesus. And I used to wonder a lot, why is there such detail about the trial of Jesus, until I realized what it was about. Jesus was put on trial for political terrorism, to put it in modern terminology. He was a threat to the Roman power base. And Pilate, the governor at the time, put him on trial and conducted the trial himself, which was most unusual, and said, "Are you a king?" And Jesus looked at him and said, well, not in the sense you mean. To this end I was born, and to this end I came into the world, that I would bear witness to the truth. And Pilate famously responded, what is truth? And went out and declared Jesus innocent of the charge. And then he said to him just a bit later, don't you know I have power to crucify you? And Jesus quietly said, you would have no power against me unless it had been given to you from above. So there's one of the most famous confrontations between power and truth. And that statement that Jesus made, I have come to bear witness to the truth, I regard that as the main motivation for my life. I'm trying to bear witness to truth as I see it at all kinds of levels in my own limited way. And that's what bothers me about AI. It's a reductionist. We're reducing people to machines. And you said to me a few moments ago that flagged up a thing in my mind that's very important. We need to be very clear what AI is and what it isn't. This is a machine. Machines do not think. Machines do not have qualia. They do not understand the redness of red. They do not experience emotion. They have no consciousness. And you see, I believe that the genius of God is that he's made you and me, and he's connected in us consciousness and intelligence. The machines are not conscious, but they simulate intelligence. And the experts are very clear that they're not trying to construct intelligence for a very simple reason. They have no idea what consciousness is from a scientific point of view. But they're trying to simulate intelligence and go as far as they can. And therefore, the danger is we anthropomorphize everything. We treat them as if they're conscious beings. And we need to step back and realize that we are conscious beings. And that gives us a supreme dignity and value. To reduce ourselves to merely machines, or on the other hand, merely animals, is to demean our value. And then where are you going to get value from?
I've got a quote here that's
I'm going to leave it right here. But I agree with him. I agree with what he says. You know, we always give life to things that don't have life in them, right? We give humanity to stuff that's not human, right? And just the same with AI. We shouldn't give humanity to AI. And I think what makes it worse is that, you know, along with the AI, you know, we have these robots they're building, and these robots, they make them human-like, right? So, you know, naturally people are gonna, you know, attribute emotions to them and attribute a consciousness to them when they don't have it, right? They'll have conversations with them. I mean, you've already seen people marrying robots and marrying their chat GPT voice or whatever. Like, we see these crazy stories. We don't even have true AI. There's not robots in every household, but you hear stories like this. So, you know, it's something that you could see that we're headed in that direction. And, you know, it is sad, right? It's sad because it gets to a point where it's like, should I have 4 guys working in the shop for me, or should I have 1 robot? Well, how much more money can I make off of 1 robot than I can make having 4 humans, right? So it just downgrades us to a machine, is what he's saying. And it's sad, but it's headed that way. It's the direction it's headed. You know, there's nothing that's going to stop it. Other countries are working on this technology, so we have to be the first ones, right? That's what the argument is. And I get it. You know, I get it. Of course, we're not going to just sit back and let, you know, other countries grow while, you know, we're staying in one spot. Does it make it right? I don't know. I really don't know. I just know that it's something that's coming no matter what. And, you know, it's just something that we got to be ready for, right? And how do you get ready for something you don't even know what the outcome would be? I don't know. But I do know that no matter what they create, no matter what we as a human being are able to create, there's nothing that we can create that will replace God, who God is and what God is. There's nothing that will ever even get close to it. And most of the people that are saying this, that this software is going to be godlike, AI will be godlike, we'll start a new religion, we'll rewrite the Bible, all this nonsense that they're saying, they're mostly atheists, right? They've never experienced God. They've never had a supernatural just experience with the Holy Spirit. They don't know God. They don't have a relationship with God. So they're talking not only out of arrogance, out of ignorance, right? So, I mean, we need to pray for these people too. We need to pray that God, touches them, softens their heart, and, that they come to the truth, right? Because like I said, no matter what humans can create, we will never replace God. We will never create nothing, even a fraction of what God is, no matter how amazing it looks, right? There's only one God, and he's a holy God. So with that, I'm gonna leave it right there. If you made it this far, I'm glad you watched the whole video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're not a subscriber, I hope that you will be. I hope you'll join me on this journey. Pray for me. I'll be praying for y'all. I love y'all. I'm out.